But the one thing that you need to have with a HydroWise unit to make sure it works is Wi-Fi. If it doesn't have Wi-Fi, you either need to put the unit closer to where your Wi-Fi is and cable from your solenoids to that, or put a Wi-Fi booster in. So that's the first thing we have to check, that the Wi-Fi is working okay. So it gives us a nice chance to just go through the settings. And now it's asking me to enter our Wi-Fi password. So the screen tells me now that I've successfully connected to the internet. So it's got our external access through the Wi-Fi unit, and it also gives me a serial number, which I'll record that down so that we can program that into to make sure this connects and talks to the app. We could program it from here. There's all the zones and so on here to do. It's just a lot more difficult on such a small screen, and the real beauty of the HydroWise unit is what you can do via the app on your computer, your iPad, etc. So that's where we're going to go to do the work from here. Okay, on my PC or your Mac, I've logged into the hydrowise.com area, and you'll see here that it's got a whole lot of information that you can read up on about your Hunter HydroWise unit. But the first thing I want to do now is I want to actually set up my particular controller. So I've got to log in and set up an account. So I hit login. Now I don't currently have one, so there's no point in putting that in there, but I will register now. So got my password in there. In my case, we'll assume you're not an irrigation contractor, and we'll register. Put my email in. Our friends at Hunter have sent me an email pretty much immediately, and this is where I take the next steps. So let's get started. So I'll put a password in here for my particular unit. I guess you'll put in whatever you want and then hit OK. It says welcome to me. Now this is where I have to choose a controller. Now you might have in my case I've got a couple of controllers, but in your case you might only just have one. So I'll just say my home controller, or whatever you want to call it. And then you've got to remember that serial number that we wrote down when we're out at the unit. So you write that in now. Do you need to connect your controller to your Wi-Fi? Well, it was connected. Okay, once you've got your account set up and you log in using your new password and your email, this is what you'll see, but there's nothing set up in here now. We don't have any zones set up. Now you can run the wizard and follow that, but I just thought I'd go to the area. I need to set up the 4 zones. Now this is where it was important to keep track of the information from your solenoids in the areas, which is zones 1, 2, 3 and 4. So here I'm going to add a zone. Now in this case I'm going to, the first one I want to do is zone 1. Now that zone was the backyard. Now this is where you need to keep details about your particular setup, so you know. Now down here you can just set up different icons that you want to do. Now this is just simply to separate the different things. So you can use whatever icon you want. So I'll use that one and then go OK. Now the backyard is set up. Now I'll come back and look at that now. I'll add the next zone. And that was zone 2. Oops. And that was the front yard. And I'll choose a different one for that. Okay, now I'll choose my 3rd zone. Now this was the gardens. And I'll choose the next one along for that. You can choose whatever icons you like. You can see it now coming up with the different icons and the details. We've still got to put in the specific details about it, but we'll set up the zones to start with. So now last one, zone 4, and that was the back garden. And I'll add the next one along. So now we've got our 4 zones set up with the basics, and now we've got to go in and set up all the schedules and that we want to do. Okay, we've got the 4 zones set up, but there's no information within those zones to do it. So the next thing I'll do is go up to programs. And I want to add a program. This is the programs that we'll set up to do it. So we'll call a program we'll just call it for the sake of it, daily watering. Now I'm going to do this as a time-based schedule. Now I might decide now, for the simple thing for this exercise is I'm going to do it every day. Now you can change this as you like, and I'm going to start it at 7 o'clock in the morning when it's nice and fine. And this will tell me that this will water every day. Now you can change that to different days, turn them off if you want, and water at alternate days. And you can also, when the start time, when the cycle will start. Now here we've got all the details here. This is where I can set up the zones and the run times that I want those. So in this case I'm going to select all zones, and I want to run them, I'll just say for 15 minutes. Now this is where it's completely configurable and what's so good about this, but for the sake of the exercise we'll do that here. So that's going to run for 15 minutes. Now there's a whole lot of other information that we'll look separately that will adjust based on the weather stations that exist around that. So we'll look at that next. It says that we're missing run times for zone 5 and 6, but we don't have those, so we'll turn those off. Okay, now we've got one program that says that all of the zones will be watered every day, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday through to the following Saturday. They'll start at 7 o'clock. I'll do all of them for 15 minutes. Now we'll go and have a look at some of the predictive options you've got, because the one really great thing about the HydroWise unit is it connects to local weather stations, and it will adjust based on certain weather conditions. The thing we want to do is we've got the 4 units here. Now we've got, you see there's more information now that we've set up. We want to look at watering triggers. Now this is where you can look at a whole range of information that comes from the weather stations, so that the HydroWise unit will pick up your location and use the different weather information. So you can adjust all these different criteria to decide when you will and won't water. For example here, it says don't water when today's forecast temperature is less than 20 degrees. Well, you can disable that if you don't think that you want to do that. The next one is water 30% less when today's forecast temperature is less than 25, etc. So you can do adjustments on the basis of different criteria. Now the thing that's most important in my particular situation is I don't want to water the lawn when there's a high chance of rain. So don't water when the chance of rain is higher than 80%. Now you can adjust this up and down. So if I said there's a 90% chance of rain, I don't want to water. The other thing you may not want is when there's forecast of wind conditions. In my case, I'm not too worried about the wind conditions. So this is the sort of information that you can adjust your HydroWise unit to give you the exact watering criteria that you want. If this video was helpful, you can get a lot more information on our website, completelandscapes.co.nz, or check out other videos on our YouTube channel.